My name is Tina. It happened in my second year of marriage. One day, out of the blue, my husband left, leaving behind just a single note. And on that note, there was just one sentence: "I'm going to live with my lover." I thought it was some kind of joke and waited for him to return. But he didn't come home the next morning either. I couldn't reach him by phone either. Engulfed in the sadness of betrayal, 3 years passed. "Mom, it's been 3 years since Dad left. He's not coming back. You should get a divorce and start a new life." I finally decided to divorce a few months ago after hearing that from my daughter. And now, I'm living with a new sense of purpose, having finalized the divorce from my husband. However, I received a voicemail on my phone. "Hey! I'm coming home tonight. Let me stay." My husband, who had been unreachable no matter how much I contacted him, suddenly called and said he's coming home tonight, just like that. Just when I finally divorced and sorted out my feelings, what is he thinking? I listened to his voice on the voicemail over and over again, unchanged from before. Arrogant and self-centered as ever. Our marriage had started with an arranged meeting. Worried about my inability to find a lover, my parents introduced me. Without my knowing, they had arranged a meeting, and under their insistence, I went. When I met him, he seemed refreshing and dependable, leading the way. I thought I could feel secure with him. That was probably due to my lack of experience. Once we married, he turned out to be very selfish. His leading was a misconception, he just wanted things his way. When we had a child, he seemed reassured and started coming home late, immersing himself in work. But I was relieved he was focusing on work rather than having an affair. And then, in our 23rd year of marriage, he disappeared. Our daughter, who had started working, was 22 and distressed by her father's sudden absence. I felt the same, unsure of what to do after being abruptly abandoned by my husband. Having not worked since marriage, I didn't know how to support myself. The one saving grace was that this betrayal happened after my daughter had grown up. If she had been a child, I couldn't have raised her alone. But in a house without my husband, the time spent crying seemed eternal, and the days were long and hard. I spent a year looking for my husband every day. I even went to his company to see if he had been showing up for work. But he had quit his job without telling me. As a year passed, I started to get used to life without my husband and began to reflect on myself. Why did I depend on such a selfish man? Why did I think I loved him? He cheated, ran off with another woman, and abandoned his family. Whatever he's doing or wherever he is, I don't care anymore. It took a year to feel this way. Looking back, what a waste of a year it was. But even more so, the 23 years that came before it seem even more wasteful. If I had known a day would come when he would leave us, I wouldn't have tried so hard for his and our family's sake. 2 years later, my daughter got married. We had supported each other as a mother and daughter. My daughter said she couldn't leave me. "Mom, let's live together." I was so happy to hear that. Having braced myself for abandonment again. But won't he feel suffocated living with me? "Don't worry, he's the one who suggested it." Fearing being alone, I shed tears and accepted my daughter's offer. Meeting my future in-laws. Both of them were there together. I felt sad that I was alone, wondering why it was just me. But it couldn't be helped. There are people in the world who lost their husbands early and live in loneliness. I just happened to be one whose husband left. I kept telling myself that, forcing a smile. How pitiful I felt. Ideally, both parents should attend their daughter's wedding. In the end, it was just me, and I couldn't help but feel sorry for my daughter. Thinking she might feel embarrassed. It was all because of my selfish husband. If he had thought about his family, none of this would have happened. Why did he leave his family for another woman? No matter how much time passes and I think about it, my anger only grows. It's not just his betrayal of me, but the pain he caused our daughter that's unforgivable. Maybe that's why I decided to divorce. And now, this unexpected voicemail. What should I do? Should I call him back? As I stared at my husband's phone number, I wondered if I should call. But it was the number that never connected, no matter how much I called before. What if it doesn't connect again? What if I'm ignored again? I had just made the big decision to divorce, but am I going to be upset again? Another voice in my head says, no. I don't want my life to be disturbed by that man again. Well, if it's something important, he'll call back, won't he? I'm not his wife anymore. I don't need to worry about him. He's got his lover, after all. Once I made up my mind, I went to my daughter, Emily, and told her about the voicemail from her father, Henry. She didn't change her expression and said, "Oh, typical of him to be so selfish. If he wants to stay, let him, but I wonder where he thinks he's going to stay." Indeed, that was true. We had long since cancelled the lease on the apartment where the three of us lived. It was about 3 hours later. I was squinting at the drawing my grandson was making on my lap when my rarely used phone rang. Wondering who it could be, I looked at the screen and it read Henry. Oh, I forgot to change the contact name. Thinking this, I set my grandson down and went into my room. Hello? Hey! Where are you right now? What? What do you mean what? I told you I'm coming home tonight. Didn't you check your messages? I did, but I thought to myself, he hasn't changed. He's been missing for 3 years, and the first thing should be an apology, right? But instead, this is how he starts. I couldn't help but think it was good we separated. Hey! Why is there nothing in the room? What's going on? In the room? Where are you? I'm at home, of course. Home? You mean our old place? Of course. You're inside? Yes, obviously. Stop asking the same thing. Why is there nothing in the room? Answer me. We moved out. Why didn't you tell me before moving? After you said you're gonna live with your lover, I couldn't reach you no matter how much I tried. Ah. Henry was silent, maybe realizing his mistake. He always did this. When things don't go his way, he becomes silent. How can you have a conversation with someone who stops talking? I always had to be the one to give in. But not this time. If he doesn't speak, I don't need to either. Then I heard my son-in-law say, "Bathroom is available, let's take a shower." Of course, he was talking to my grandson. Huh? Where are you? It's personal information, I don't need to tell you. What? We're married, it's not personal information. Oh, unfortunately, we're not married anymore. What are you talking about? Did you go senile while I was gone? No, we're not married because after you disappeared for 3 years, I filed for divorce. Why? Because you. Why are you saying I'm the one who acted selfishly? Selfishly? Me? Yes, you. How could you divorce me without consulting me? How was I supposed to consult you? How can I contact and discuss with someone who's unreachable? I couldn't reach you, didn't know where you were, so I endured for 3 years and finally got my emotions sorted out. That's why I decided to divorce. But that's just too selfish. Selfish? You're the one who left a single note and disappeared. And with just a line about living with your lover? Do you know how much pain that caused me and our daughter? Divorce is only natural under these circumstances? That's because you're always so careless. I wrote I was going to live with my lover, but I never wrote about divorcing. Do you really think that excuse is going to work? Just saying you're going to live with someone else is shocking enough, and then no contact after that? Anyone would naturally think you wanted a divorce. No, that's not it. Anyway, you're the one who left. Enjoy your life with your lover. No, wait. I broke up with her. What? So, we can start over. Start over? Yes, I left her to come back to you. You should be grateful. Grateful? You must be joking. Why should I be grateful? Don't be ridiculous. I have no intention of starting over with you. Is it because you have a lover? What? How could you even think that? Don't lump me in with you. But it's true, isn't it? I heard a young man's voice earlier. But I'm a generous man. Even if you were playing around with a young guy, I'll forgive you this time. You must have been lonely and ran to him, but in the end, you're just being played. How can you be so foolish? What did you say? I'm saying I'm forgiving you. That was my daughter's husband. What? Our daughter got married? Yes, she did. And you're living with her and her husband? Yes, we are, along with my grandchild. Are you happy? Of course. Being with my adorable grandchild all the time, what could be happier? Why? What?
Why are you the only one who gets to be happy? I've lost everything.
What? You're the one who left for another woman, you must have been happier.
That's not it.
What happened, then? Since you're telling, might as well tell me everything. Why did you suddenly disappear? Why did that woman fall in love with you? 3 years ago, I was drinking at a bar. That's where I met her, sitting next to me. We hit it off while drinking together and started going out for meals a few times. I got serious about her. She said she was serious about me too. Every time I tried to go home, she'd cry, saying she wanted to stay with me. So, you decided to live together? Yeah, exactly. How old was she? In her late 30s. You were dating someone so much younger. Yes, compared to you, everything was so fresh. It felt good to be wanted. So, you left your family for a woman more than 20 years younger? Yes, so what? Then you should have stayed with her. She liked you that much. No, she found another man. Oh, that's too bad. He is younger and stronger than me. I never thought she'd leave me. She took everything and left. Just a note saying she found someone she loved. I couldn't believe it. I waited for days, but she never came back. Waited 1 month, 2 months, still nothing. Finally, I realized after 3 months that waiting was pointless. You two were similar. How? Just a note with a single line. Yeah, I thought we were similar. But waiting for someone who's run away is useless. Then I remembered you. I thought you were waiting for me. You're really delusional. You gave up after 3 months, but it took me a year. A year? You waited a year for me? That's a nice thought. It took me a year to make a clean break. It's not easy to go back after that. Don't tell me you're also giving up on me? I didn't give up, I was abandoned, so I divorced.
I have nowhere to live. No job, don't know what to do.
You quit by yourself. Well, I chose to resign. For her, right? Yeah, I loved her. I thought about living together somewhere else. Work was just getting in the way. You got what you deserved, huh?
What are you saying? You think you did nothing wrong?
Huh?
You had faults too.
Like what?
You neglected me.
Excuse me?
When I said I was working late, you didn't care. You didn't notice I was having an affair. You were always so focused on our daughter. That's why I turned to another woman. It's all your fault.
I see. Well, then there's no need to be with such a terrible woman, right? Good thing we divorced, huh?
No, that's not it. I realized you're still the one for me.
Too late for that realization now. We're already divorced.
No, if we're divorced, we can just remarry.
Don't say such convenient things. I have absolutely no desire to get back with you.
Why not? I don't have anywhere to live.
You can look for a place to live.
That's harder than just living with you.
I refuse. I have no intention of letting a stranger like you into my home.
Mom, dinner's ready.
Oh, my daughter's calling. Dinner's ready, so I have to go.
How about talking after dinner?
No, we're going to watch TV with the family after dinner. Watching TV with my grandson is much more enjoyable than alone.
That's not fair. You're happy and I'm not.
Henry's shouting could be heard, but I ignored it and hung up the phone. When I went to the living room and told my daughter Emily about Henry, she openly showed anger but didn't say anything. However, the next day, something happened. Henry contacted Emily.
Emily, it's your dad.
Who did you say?
Your dad. I heard you got married, congratulations. Are you happy? I heard from your mom that you have a grandchild. Show me your child's face.
Are you joking?
What?
I told my husband that you disappeared. What are you planning to do by showing up now?
That's...
You have a lover, right? Just be happy with her.
I broke up with her. Young lovers are fickle.
How old was she? In her late 30s. That's creepy.
What?
Getting obsessed with such a young woman and quitting your job? Don't come here, I don't want to see you.
Hey, we're family.
Mom and you are divorced, didn't she tell you?
Yeah, I heard.
Then you should understand. You and I are strangers now.
The bond between a parent and child doesn't just break that easily. and my father disappeared 3 years ago. Do you know how hard it was to be abandoned by my father? And now you say she was in her late 30s? You're just ridiculous. I had no choice. She didn't want to leave me. Oh, great. Thanks to that, Mom suffered a lot. Searching for you, walking everywhere. You know how shocked she was when she found out you quit your job? I kinda understand. I was mentally wrecked too. I was afraid of being abandoned again even when I found someone I liked. And it's all because of you. Well, I had a hard time too. That's because you chose that path. We had to walk the path we were forced into. It should have been both parents at my wedding, but Mom had to attend alone. Well, if you're happy, that's good. Leaving your family for a young woman is just irresponsible. The only good thing is that I was an adult. Otherwise, Mom would have had to bear everything alone. Yeah, Dad thought about it and waited until you were grown up. I was thinking properly. Someone who's thinking properly wouldn't abandon their family. Don't say ridiculous things. Well, I guess I do feel bad about it. It's too late for that now. Look, I want to apologize, so give me your address. Even if you apologize now, it won't change anything. I never forgot about you, not even once. Then please forget me. I've already forgotten about you. That's heartless. Didn't you make me this way? So, that woman turned you against me? Which woman? Your mom. She must have poisoned you against me. That's why you're saying such things. You weren't like this before. Emily thought about Henry's words and then asked, "Where are you living now?" Huh? The apartment we used to live in. You rented it? No, I don't have the money to rent. I still had the key and the door was just as I left it, so I picked up some cardboard boxes and I'm staying here now. It's better than the cold outside. So, you've been there since Mom moved out? And no one has moved in? Seems like it. Lucky, huh? Really? No one's living there? There's no sign of anyone's stuff, so it's pretty clear. What about it? That means it's property of the real estate company, right? Yeah, I guess. Aren't you worried about getting in trouble? They hardly ever come to check. You're not planning to leave? Guess I can't, huh? That's why I want to live with you. You understand, right? So, you'll be staying there for a while longer? Yeah, until you agree to live with me, I'll be here. I can't sleep outside, it's too cold. But it's cold here too. A blanket would help. Cardboard alone is pretty cold. You're really still there? Yeah, I have to be. But I want to stay at your place. Come on, let me stay, just give me the address. What, hanging up just like that? No manners at all. A few days later, a lawyer contacted us. Apparently, Henry was arrested for illegal trespassing. He had been sleeping on cardboard in the apartment we used to live in. There were cans of food and beer scattered around, and it smelled awful. Someone reported seeing lights in the supposedly vacant apartment and found Henry there. He was arrested on the spot, and now he's asking for a public defender and wants me and Emily to visit him. Following his request, Emily and I went to the police station. Seeing Henry for the first time in 3 years, he looked much thinner. Why did you let it come to this? Well, the real estate company suddenly showed up. You knew we weren't living in that apartment anymore. That means you knew you shouldn't have been there, right? Yeah, but I had nowhere else to stay. It's too cold to sleep outside. There are places like motels, you know. That's a waste of money. But you can afford beer. Alcohol is the best way to keep warm. You're going to freeze to death. It's not cold enough to freeze to death. So why did you call us? We're strangers now. Don't say that. You're the only ones I can rely on. When we were in trouble, you were unreachable. You're so selfish. Well, if you had let me stay, this wouldn't have happened. I asked so many times. Asked? You never politely asked to stay. You just demanded. Why should I have to say that? I worked hard for you all. Why should I beg you? Is that so? Well then, goodbye. No, wait. Don't be so hasty, okay? Anyway, I wanted to stay with you. If we lived together, I could have thought of something. Thought of what? Finding your next woman? No, it's not like that. Well, there's no use arguing over what's done. It might be over for you, but not for us. You showed up just as we were moving on. Thanks to you, our peace of mind is disturbed again. That's the same for me. It's not just you who's disturbed. Oh really? How exactly are you disturbed? Did we do that to you? Or is it just the consequences of your own actions? Enough. I didn't call to argue. I don't intend to argue. There's no point in fighting with a stranger like you. So, Dad, why did you call us here? Well, the thing is, the real estate company said they're willing to settle. Oh, good for you. But we don't need to hear such trivial news. Let's go, Mom. No, wait. Why are you like this? Listen to me. I'm busy. I'm going shopping for clothes with Mom. For my daughter's clothes. So, I don't have time to play with you. Play. Look, I'll be straightforward. I need you to cover the settlement money for me. What are you saying? Do you understand, Mom? I don't get it. Why would we listen to a request for money from a stranger like Henry? Yeah, I wouldn't lend it either. How can someone who doesn't work properly pay back the money? Don't be like that. If I can just pay the settlement money, they'll drop the case. How much is it? $4,000. Oh, and if you don't pay it? It goes to court. And what happens then? Probably a prison sentence or a fine. How much is the fine? They said it could be less than $2,000. Then that's cheaper, isn't it? I don't even have that $2,000. The real estate company, considering my situation, said $2,000 would be enough. Still, that's twice the fine. Yeah, so can you lend me the $4,000? I have a child, you know. I need money for my child. I can't just give away $4,000. I see. Tina, what about you? You can afford it, right? Are you joking? How do you think I've lived after you left me, without working properly? There's no way I have extra money. Don't be like that. Borrow it from somewhere for me. Why should I borrow money for you? If I borrow it, I'll be the one who has to pay it back, right? Impossible. I'll pay it back once I'm out of here. Then ask your young lover. I told you, I broke up with her. But she's still closer to you than I am. We're strangers now. Don't say that. Help me out. Tina. Deserves you right. Leaving the visiting room, Emily and I walked away as my ex-husband desperately called out. He was so arrogant and selfish, disregarding his family. Now, abandoned by his lover, he's beyond help. It made me wonder why the real estate company showed up just in time. Then Emily grinned and told me she had called them. A little revenge like this won't bring any punishment, right? It turns out, my daughter was the one who had contacted the real estate company. Henry later faced trial and, with an unenthusiastic public defender, got a 3-year prison sentence. He served his time without trouble and was released. Only to face a bleak future at 58 with a criminal record, unable to find a job or afford an apartment. Eventually becoming homeless. He contacted me multiple times, wanting to reconcile. I'm out now. I've really changed. Let's start over. Marry me again. Is there any love in that? Love doesn't matter. We were married before, that's enough. I'm not interested in a loveless marriage. You're being ridiculous. Your husband's in trouble, and you should help. That's when I decided to block him. He managed to get by with odd jobs, but couldn't keep it up, eventually becoming homeless. Meanwhile, I live happily with my daughter's family and my grandchild, far from his turmoil. I'm living every day full of smiles and happiness.